So we are basically pulling everything out the bottom of this car.
What's going on here?
Sketchy stuff, man. This is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Dude, if we would have pulled it out of the garage and pushed it back in, that would have been sketchier.
That would have been, yeah, coming over the bump, you know, with like the jack.
Yeah. Originally, we were gonna pull it out and push it around, but we just moved some tables around. Very nice.
Very nice.
Let there be light.
Ooh. Ooh. All right, more FCP boxes have showed up. We've already busted them open a little bit, but we got some brake rotors for that thing. Whoopsh.
When you sleep over at your friend's house and then I'll give you a blanket.
Just with the butcher paper. Cool thing about FCP is like stuff like this and these trailing arms that we just got, everything with FCP is a lifetime warranty. So they were even telling me that like if you get an oil change kit from them and you want to send the oil back, they will warranty your used oil, which is wild. I've never heard of like a warranty or customer service of that level anywhere, to be honest. There it is, dude. I was just talking about it. This is the last time you will ever have to pay for the parts in this box. Use them up, wear them out, then send them back for a free replacement at any time. I'm like, dude, like that's about as good as it gets, right? From Mr. Scott. Thanks, Scott. Looking out for us, buddy.
All right, so after traveling halfway around the world and back, I was gone for a while. I came back and this is how the car looked. Engine out, motor out, no rear subframe or no rear end. It's not in running condition.
What? What do you mean?
Kegel and Dan have been really busy.
Very, yeah.
Very busy.
I mean, basically you got word from FCP that they were gonna come on board and help us refresh this thing. And to properly know what the car needed and get it refreshed and make it proper and presentable and whatnot, we decided to strip it down and really see, you know, what she was made of.
I gotta remind ourselves constantly that it needing more work and it being in this sort of shape makes it for a better story, but also it helps us learn about this platform because this is something that's new to yourself and also completely new to me.
For sure.
Racing this is new to me. You know, so us playing by the rules, us refreshing this thing, it's such an interesting project to be a part of. It's something different. It's something that I haven't done yet.
Yeah. Yeah, diving this deep into it, like you said, I mean, I've had friends that have had E30s, but I've never like extensively been involved in building one or working on one. And a lot of it is new to me, just, and especially BMW stuff. So much of what they use on the car is like sacrificial or one-time use as far as like lock washers and stuff goes. So that's been an interesting learning curve with like having to have the right parts on board. But then like you also said, like just going through it allows us to like see things that could be fixed and then gives us a reason to like dig into the rule book and see, you know, what are we missing? And it's just it's a really good exercise in like learning the car, learning the rule book, learning the series. And then whenever we do have issues at the track, we'll be super familiar with the car and we'll know exactly how to fix what it is because we'll have been through everything and, you know, known what the issue could have been.
So let's go over some of the things that you have done and what we will need to do. That is the intake manifold right there, just sitting there. Is that something that needs to be cleaned or something needs to be refreshed?
No, it doesn't need to be plugged or anything. We've actually already cleaned it. The only thing I wanted to do outside of what Dan's already done is like maybe try and get some aluminum brightener to remove this like hazing. It looks like it was like stuff under a tree or something, you know, that like sat on top of it, but it's not important. It's not going to affect the way it runs. It's more just an aesthetic thing.
Right. We got new windshield wipers, which I'm excited about because I do want to race this. And oftentimes, especially if you're endurance racing, there is going to be rain and we need to actually use the windshield wipers. And this, along so many other things that we've said before, will add to the weight and let us make weight.
Right. Yeah. Like some of the stuff we got from FCP was like a timing kit, a full timing kit, basically an entire set of seals for the motor to like refresh everything, right? So like I said, this motor leaked from everywhere. The exhaust gaskets, intake gaskets. Valve cover was leaking terribly. The crankshaft, the camshaft, those were leaking. The rear main was leaking. So to really do the refresh that this motor needed effectively, it's easier to do it outside of the car than inside. You know, working like under the transmission tunnel, trying to do the rear main, and then in the engine bay, trying to do a crank seal and a camshaft. It's like, just pull it out, figure out what's wrong with it, and like really address it.
This is not really a full rebuild. You're just refreshing the outside. You're not taking the head off or anything like that.
No, we didn't do a head gasket. It's just resealing everything that leaks. In the process, with taking all this apart and not just kind of like resealing it piece by piece in the car, we went through the oil pump. Dan started to clean the oil pump out. And so in this strainer, I wish we still had the pieces. We've already thrown them away. But in the oil strainer, there was an M8 nut. There was massive pieces of gasket material, like 3-inch long pieces of gasket material curled up in here. Some hard plastic bits, just plenty of stuff that could literally end a track day.
End the track day, end the season.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I mean, who knows? Like if it kept going or whatever, somehow it went into the motor. We could have lost the motor.
Yeah, grenaded the motor. Again, it gives us a reason to look into this, and we would have never known that the oil pump was carrying that around. I mean, there were cracked water lines. You know, just the motors are old, right? They're a little tired, and so they could use some servicing. And yeah, I mean, it gave us a good reason to go through everything, you know. And what we discovered was some things were good and probably didn't need to be serviced. Like the radiator lines were good.
It's a 40-year-old race car, pretty much.
Right.
So it's like a hybrid of all different BMWs put together. The crazy thing is, with it being in the condition it was, with the brakes falling apart, everything leaking, and the car generally in a pretty rough state, it still was pretty fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can drive a car leaking all day fast as you want,
exactly.
You know? Just make sure your fluids are topped off, right?
Exactly. I love this because something I always say is that I want to be proud of the cars that we build, the photos that we take, the videos that we do. So this is much needed, and I cannot wait to get this thing on the track again.
All right, so I'm realizing I missed some parts on the order from FCP. I was initially kind of trying to get the car ready for a race fairly rapidly. Didn't fully read what everything came with, kind of made some assumptions, and missed a few parts. So getting these extra parts ordered up so that you know, we can get this motor reassembled, the car back in. In the meantime, there's some other stuff that can be worked on. But since I've realized I was missing stuff for the engine rebuild, I think I'm gonna snag this diff and try and do this diff rebuild, or you know, kind of like a refresh that we got. So it's going to be like the axle seals. I might even like paint the diff, give it like an ice cream, you know, paint job before it goes in.
Happy DMs, you know, posted about the car being all apart.
Okay.
And then a bunch of people reached out. They want to help.
Okay.
Including this gentleman who drove all the way from, where'd you drive from? Oceanside?
Yeah, Oceanside. Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What do you have to offer us?
So I do vapor honing.
That's like your business, or?
It is. It's my side hustle.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
I'm an active duty Marine, and I picked up vapor honing as a way to clean up my R32, make it look a little bit better than what it did, and then it just kind of snowballed into doing stuff for the GTR community in SoCal. So I saw this, and I've been following you for a long time, and I was like, I wonder if he'd be interested in, you know, cleaning up his manifold.
I have a couple other cars that need cleaning too.
Yeah, I watched that build. It was amazing. So, you know, it's cool, but I think my DCT swapped R32 is cooler. But
I gotta check that out.
yeah,
Hey, next time,
humble brag. Yeah, no
next
big-
time
big
we're
deal.
in the area, we gotta check that out.
Yeah.
What can you do? What are you able to do? Because we have these parts that are a little rough.
Yeah, so this will be easy. So like
That's an alternator bracket.
alternator
Aluminum.
bracket will get cleaned up real nice.
These are just engine timing covers.
Yeah.
This one I wasn't sure about because it has the sealing surfaces for the crankshaft.
Yep.
And
So it will not. So the glass bead media, they're like microscopic little glass balls, and they
Okay.
will explode on impact.
Okay.
So it is way less abrasive than sand.
Okay.
And it'll give you, so like all these like brush marks, right?
Yeah.
All that will disappear with
Okay.
the vapor honing. You'll still have like this texture
From the cast.
from the casting on here, but it will be way shinier, I guess.
More like uniform looking.
Yep.
What is this actually from? Is this just oxidation or rust? What I don't even know what this is
It's
from.
oxidation, just dirt and grime, probably some oil at some point in time that leaked on here and just like seeped into the aluminum. So with the vapor honing, the aluminum will actually get like rolled at like a microscopic level. So
Okay.
it's less susceptible to like stains and whatnot. So it's
Okay.
a lot easier to clean up too.
So you're saying it like closes the pores of the
Yep.
material essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta find other stuff here, man.
I know.
Send it to me, man. Like I just cleaned out the cabinet, so you guys will be the first customers of the year.
Nice.
Got to be as close to stock to possible.
Yeah.
right? So
Unfortunately.
I hear that.
Well, I'm excited. Should
Yeah.
be a good one. Can't wait to see what it looks like.
3 days later.
Everyone's green.
Dang.
Yeah. So
That is
everything's
spicy.
cleaned out. We got. I've been getting inside,
Oh.
but better than factory.
Yeah. Holy cow. Better
So-
than factory is an understatement.
Wow.
Yeah, this thing is fresh.
I mean, all other stuff is like pretty good too, and
Oh, the little guys, the little timing covers?
yeah. So the good stuff. I know originally we kind of had a discussion about the sealing surfaces on here, because I think you said there were some.
It's a crank and a cam seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't want debris going in, you don't want fluids coming out, but the good stuff about vapor honing is that it's not
Oh,
an
man.
abrasive in the fact that it's going to take material away.
Yeah. That looks literally brand new factory.
Yeah.
Like there's no like it's not like a coarse finish or anything like that where it's gonna have a
No, it'll polish if anything, so it'll make the better than like OEM.
Yeah, holy
But-
cow. That is insane, dude. There's no way we could have gotten these things that
Yeah,
clean.
that's a nice finish.
There's no way.
So whenever you get the build done, he's out there doing his E30 races with everyone.
Yeah.
He'll be able to pop the hood. And like it looks good in the shade, but like when it gets like out here,
Ooh.
it's like
Yeah, that's hot.
super
Oh my
super
gosh.
shiny.
That's hot.
Holy cow. Oh my gosh. This is nuts, dude. There's no way we could have gotten this clean.
Nah, no way.
Not a chance. We're like
way.
scrubbing with like simple green, aluminum
yeah,
brightener.
man.
Like we threw every chemical we possibly could at
that's
it.
what I was doing for a long time, using whatever I could find, like Scotch Brite pads. Whatnot.
Yeah.
And then when I started tearing apart my RB, it was during COVID, and vapor hunting technology was having a sale, and I was like, well, I'm stuck at home. Let me spend a couple grand and work on my GTR. So, but yeah, vapor hunting is where it's at. If you're doing any type of restoration or just any cleaning job.
Yeah, holy cow. This is insane. We've also got some FCP stuff arriving. More just little things that I forgot because, there's a lot of stuff that goes into building a motor. We'll sort through this stuff in a minute because the real thing is we're going to have these new housings and pipes. Some of them were just pretty badly pitted and corroded on the original motor. So we're getting some new stuff from FCP, which is insane that they have these like legitimate OEM parts. But we're getting them vapor honed to match that because why not? These things look so good. Like, there's no way we can assemble this motor with this water pipe on the front of it next to this gorgeous intake manifold. Not a chance. What do you think?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
That would be sacrilegious to do that.
Exactly.
There'd be some very angry people.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. This is literally a brand new part. And that looks 10 times better. Holy cow. You guys can kind of see deep down in there. Yeah, y'all can see. I just kind of painted the cams with that assembly lube as best as I could. And that's just because, again, I hosed down the entire interior of the head after prepping this surface. You know, again, just to ensure everything was gone. And in doing so, of course, I washed away all the oil. So there's still remnants, but everything is mostly dry. But I'd rather give this engine the best shot possible by putting some assembly lube on it before I throw this valve cover on. I'm not doing the oil pan until I get the rear main seal installed, but that will, you know, bolt on here. There's a baffle that goes in between, so I'll probably do the gasket on here, then on the, you know, put the baffle on, then on top of the pan, and then after the oil pump gets bolted in, then the pan goes on.
The next day.
So, working on this thing, the windshield was pretty cooked. It had a big crack that was like from the center all the way up, pretty gnarly. As you can see here, Larry wants it gone, so Dan's gonna dispose of it right now. You trained professional?
Nope.
He's got safety glasses, he's got gloves, and he's got a hammer. Boy, you gonna have to hit it. There she goes. Not bad. That's art right there, dude.
We're gonna hang it up on the wall now.
All right, a little bit of after action here. I wasn't happy with this one. I ground off like what was there and just went back over it. Just kind of like trigger welding, just because this frame rail is significantly thinner than I had hoped for. I mean, these things are like 1/8 base material, but not bad. I'm a little bit happier with this one just because I started off trigger welding from the get-go. I think it came out a little bit better.
I've been in Japan for Tokyo Auto Salon, but check this out. I didn't realize that they were going to make such beautiful artwork here. Look at this. This is like, I don't know what style is this, but this is definitely like a painting style. The joke was that we should clear over it and then it would just be like this texture inside. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad at that, but it does look pretty messy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and paint it with Steel It. For a while, Steel It only had just that gunmetal gray color, but now they have black and white as well as light gray, I think. But this is going to look really nice, and also it's going to prevent rust. I know a lot of people use this stuff for the cage and for other metal parts of the car, but we're just going to go ahead and cover the entirety of the front with this Steel It.
new parts. Water pump from FGP. Garagistic oil cap. You need the little fancy bits. Had the valve cover done in wrinkle black. I mean, the timing kit went on pretty flawlessly. I was just self-educating along the way, making sure I didn't miss any weird steps. The German motors are trippy. There's some stuff that was plugged from the guy that had it before, from Sean, but he didn't have a heater in the car. This looks like it was a water outlet at one point, just judging by the amount of rust in there. So I need to confirm which lines are heater lines, and then we'll put some adapter fittings in here and run those into the firewall so that this motor will have a heater so that Larry can stay warm, nice and warm, but mostly for defrost, for racing in the cold in the desert. I'll probably wipe these out with like a little shop towel, throw our new plugs in there so that we don't get any debris. But I mean, this thing is looking dialed, dude. I need to put our little oil filter housing on here. I want to do a relocation just because servicing this thing is, you know, having your oil filter right here is less than ideal. I do think the stock one is a thermostatic one, which I should have given to David for vapor honing, but I did not. Soon we were going to use a relocation, but we still might. Yeah, oh, I got to do the rear main. Rear main's probably coming up next. We're probably going to get the engine hoist out, pick this big turd up just so that I can do the rear main. Next up, we got this guy. He is just going to bolt on right in here. Yeah. Ooh, she's looking good. I was just getting ready to install the rear main seal. Upon closer inspection, I can see why it is now leaking. But that looks like somebody went in there with their freaking teeth to pull it out on the last go. And that right there is why this thing would leak. My word. Let's say, for example, those same scuff marks were on the inside of this, right? Easy fix, because that's a fixed piece. There's nothing rotating on that, right? So the easy fix for that would be to take your rear main seal and some like Permatex gray right stuff and just like rub a very, very thin layer on the perimeter of this. And then if you press it in, it's, you know, just gonna seal any like deep gashes, and kind of like using that copper gasket spray. It's like insurance, right? It's gonna make this seal harder to get out whenever it does come time to remove it later down the road. Ideally you have a press and you're not trying to use a seal puller because it'll be like glued in, but it would prevent any leaks. On the inner diameter, right, where the crank actually rides, rotates, spins and everything, we can't glue it, because it needs to be able to free spin inside this. So it's like one of those things where it feels like the work was all for nothing. It's annoying because that's like engine oil is going to seep out of there, constantly coat the clutch. Yeah, it's just less than ideal. All right, I've already done the honor of unwrapping this stuff. This is the last of our vapor honing parts. And oh my word, guys. This is insane. There were some like little bits that I kind of forgot floating around, and ended up passing them off to Dave, and holy cow, I'm glad we did, because these little pieces, it's, you know, that's going to be the small details that people notice when you're finishing out the engine, right? I mean, even this oil pan, like, good lord, this thing is gorgeous. I mean, absolutely dialed. Obviously, she's got some marks from, you know, prior owners' off-track excursions. I think Larry might have put his own scuff on there once or twice. So there was a third sensor, but it doesn't actually fit in these. I don't know why. maybe it's a year change or something, but I'm gonna wait and see what our wiring harness looks like. And if it wasn't even connected, because there was plenty of stuff that wasn't connected, I'm just gonna block it off. There is an extra one. This one seemed to be extra based on the video I had of like taking stuff apart. So that one will get plugged no matter what, so I definitely need one plug. Our bleed port was crusty, so I'm getting another one from FCP. I mean, it's really amazing how much little stuff they have for these old motors. This thing is coming together nicely. We got that guy all buttoned up finally. Dipsticks in. Our new tube down here, thing is dialed. I'm gonna have to pick somewhere on the block that will be our ground. And whenever I do, I have this trick little like, it's like a brush with like a little nipple on the end that you just like put in a hole and it spins and it will clean off that paint down to the block. I've also used like a file in the past just to get through it pretty quick to bare metal. But yeah, this thing's looking pretty dialed. All right, so I just got done making this plate. Basically, these 4 press nuts that are on this side are gonna hold the vintage air system. These 4 are what holds it to the inside. So basically this plate goes on the inside, mounts right there. And then I think we're gonna put like a rubber seal on it so that it seals it all nice and airtight into the cabin. Get this off of here. I know these line up. That one on the back side is gonna be a pain.
The following day.
It's your boy. We are running up the paint stripper, prepping up the subframe so that we could weld up the reinforcements. So we got this area needs to get stripped. This, but on the other side. And then this little area right here. Reinforcement goes in here. And then another one that covers this. They say you can put that reinforcement, the one that goes under here, on top, but it raises the motor just a little bit. But we don't need that.
Got the Garagistic front subframe reinforcement plates going in. These are for the engine mount side. I've just thrown 2 M10 bolts. One hole is slotted, one hole is where the actual motor mount goes. So I've thrown those through just for alignment. And ours was kind of mushroomed on this surface, so it also helps to like flatten it up against that motor mount whenever I go to weld it. Dan's cleaning out some more paint on this side. All right, so we got one control arm down, the Garagistic like support plates for the rear trailing arm. This one was pretty chill to do. Basically, I just kind of set it where I wanted, hit a couple tacks up here, and then took my map gas torch, heated it up, and then would kind of press it down, tack, press it, tack, press it, tack. Same thing on this side, you're just kind of flexing it down to follow the flow of the arm. From there, you'll see in like the video, I kind of start, go around, and then occasionally as I would get to a tack, because the tacks would be kind of large, to prevent having like this big bump whenever you go over it, I would like flap disc them and then take a drill bit, and then drill it out a little bit to where I'm just removing the material to where whenever I go over it, it's kind of seamless. You can still kind of tell where the tacks works. You can tell where I stopped and the heat cooled off, but more importantly, because you're not going to see these heat marks whenever it's painted or whatever, is that there's not like a large lump right here where that tack would have been trying to go over the top of it, This guy, I got kind of wild with up here. So, first time doing this, also first time just kind of like doing BMW stuff. So this guy kind of touches like right here, and then it has this little like cut to fit in around these like ribs that make this up. Touched pretty solidly along this backside, so this backside's pretty dialed in. You know, I kind of started over here with this guy, wrapped around, followed the curve. This thing, there was a pretty large gap. So what I actually did was just kind of like welded, kind of just like a little worm on this side, like on the arm, and then like bridged in between the two to get it to kind of fill in. I don't know that I needed to fill this gap, but I know that it's going to add some additional strength and structure, so I really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, all in all, everything came out pretty decent. My only regret is I wish I would have had these arms like sandblasted, because there's legitimately like a 16th inch, like you can see this, like where the material changes, right? From like raw metal paint to this like grayish color back to black. That's like a 16th of oil, or like dried road grime. So cleaning that off was pretty disgusting. Ideally, a powder coat shop could have just like acid stripped these, sandblasted them, whatever, and I would have been able to, just have kind of clean, fresh material to start with. And then this thing actually is not a garagistic piece, but it was already a sway bar reinforcement, I believe sway bar reinforcement, that was welded onto the arms. The welds just did not look too pleasing, and I'm not saying that I'm the best either, but I kind of just went in and like ground out like a little notch here of the weld, and then went over it myself just to kind of, make it look a little more pleasing, just kind of a personal thing. I want them all to kind of look, all to match. Already kind of hit this dude. He's just curing. But yeah, this stuff right here, man, this is the jam. Proper like prep, and a coat on this thing, and I mean, this stuff is super durable, so definitely my favorite to go to. It ends up with this kind of like nice like satin black finish once it's all cured. Definitely helps that we've got a bright day out here in Southern California, working on prepping these for paint as well. I had the wire wheel out here because this had some like, it was almost like a rubbery like undercoating on the bottom side, and even like paint stripper wouldn't take it off, so wire wheeled it off. And probably gonna get some red Scotch-Brites, also probably my little 3-inch DA, and just kind of like hit the large broad surfaces really quickly, and then get into the tight places, mostly that whole thing, with the red Scotch-Brite. Get these prepped, and then we've only got one can of black right now, so I don't know if I'm gonna just like hit these with black or just do steel it gray. I really want to do black, again, my favorite. We've got a surplus of gray, so we might be going gray. Just hit this thing with like a quick coat of steel it. Went a little heavy in some areas, to be honest, but this is a trailing arm. It's gonna get beat up under the car, so a little bit of extra isn't gonna hurt. You can't really go wrong with this stuff, man. Like, it looks great.
1 hour later.
All right, guys, so rolling up to Garagistic today, and Matt is cruising up in this orange E30. I believe it's a K-swap E30, and he is like active. He's got a police officer behind him. I waited to start filming until this guy left, but anyways, we're here. We're trying to pick up some parts from this guy, but he's busy being speed racer.
That was it's product testing. That's what it was. It was product testing. So at least he was a cool cop. Let me go at least, So
that's good.
That's good. Well, come on in. Come on in.
We ended up able to swoop another set of ATE front calipers. I shouldn't say another, but a replacement set, because we had Girlings, and Matt told us that those are no bueno.
So we ended up doing a lot of testing, and it was crazy because we use our self-centering shifter for E30, E30, 60, 46. But we ended up finding out on the E30, they're just, I think the sheet metal is just a lot weaker, because after like 40 events on that spec car, like hairline cracks started to like actually form. So we made a plate so that way you could either, because we had washers on there before, but it was still like cracking. So this is like a thick piece of stainless that we're gonna start including with all the shifters. And I realized that like, you guys really need to have this as you're assembling the car. So we gave you that, and of course the brass guides. So
nice.
Yeah, but it's basically just a gigantic washer, hopefully to spread the load a little bit. But,
right.
I mean, the good thing is like that's why I'm like racing and testing it. It's like, okay, I'm the first one to break it, and it's like, okay, like let's get a hold of it. Let's make sure it doesn't fail, because especially too seeing how like homologated BMWs are built. Like,
right.
It's always simple solutions. It's just like make sure it doesn't fail. That's the whole thing. So yeah, so hopefully that'll at least keep the car, you know, in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool that you guys are doing like your own product development and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not unfair to say that there are some companies that will just release a product, throw it out to the market, wait for people to complain, and then be like, oh, now it's time to fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we released our V2, everyone's been waiting for it. And it's like, no, you guys are doing the due diligence. You're going out, you're shredding, you're seeing what works, what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of too, like, I want to live with the product first. So that's why you go like, oh, well, why don't you develop things for like E28s or E24s? Because I don't have one. Like, I need to have one in order to like live with it, you know? Like, how does it install? You know, does it do exactly what that car needs? You know what I mean? You know, like the steering wheel, like sitting center in E36, like, does it do that, you know, for an example? So, I mean, even that, the car I just got pulled in the K car, you know, it has that modular subframe in it. It's just like, I need to put some miles on it. Like, the computer says it's good, you know, the simulation says it's good, but like, let's get it in the car and actually see what happens, you know, how difficult it is to install and stuff like that. So honestly, I think it's just part of the process. You know? It's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
you know? Live
for
with
sure.
it. Yeah.
I'm stoked to get this in. And you said this part is basically just like a sandwich plate, right?
Basically, yeah, put it underneath and bolt it down. I mean, you could probably, you know, tack it to the car if you really wanted to, tack nuts if you wanted to on it.
Okay.
But we just literally just bolted it on. That way, if you needed to swap it out, it's not too bad.
Right.
You know? But, yeah, like I said, I mean, let me know if it comes down to it and you guys want us to come give you a hand. Looks like you got your hands full. I like that part in the video. You're like, oh, hi, I'm Larry Chen. Let's see what Kago f***ed up. You know?
Yeah, we are definitely waist deep in an E30 rebuild, a car that I've admittedly never, ever worked on. Never thought that I would ever work on. And definitely there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve. It's not a Nissan. Yeah. It's still old. It's still, you know, got rusty bolts and stuff, but there's definitely some learning.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. So, cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man,
it.
Of course.
It's time to dig back into our FCP boxes because a lot of the chassis prep and whatnot, cleaning this thing, reinforcing stuff, getting it all ready to go back together. It's quite a process if you've never done this because typically along the way you'll find things that you didn't know were messed up, or like bolts that are stripped or seized and you had to drill them out, or, you know, things will break. It's just the nature of it, right? So you kind of have to do like a initial order, get all your stuff going, at least so you can have it on the way, start disassembling things, figure out what you broke or lost or whatever in the process, and then everything will come back together, right? So we're at that stage now where we've got some additional supplementary stuff from FCP for this engine. We're gonna get everything back together, and then it's probably time to drop this thing in. More FCP stuff, another box.
On the daily. Oh, I love this. I love seeing this sticker. Blue, that means we got more E30 parts.
Okay, so a little insight into what I was just doing. This little bit right here, you can buy them on like McMaster Car, but basically they have like a steel wire brush, stainless brush on the tip with that little like nipple, whatever you want to call it, pilot guide. And basically it's so that you can stick that pilot guide into a hole and then brush off you know, paint or rust or whatever in a perfect circle around somewhere. And so in this case, this is like the ground wire off of the ABS right here. And so I just took that guy. This is like a little tab that's welded to the frame, or the unibody, whatever you want to call this thing, this bucket. And so I stuck that pilot guide in there, and that's actually like really clean paint. Yeah, you can see right there, it cleared it off. It actually is silver. I know it looks like it's like half black, half silver right now, but if you see, if I like move around, you can tell it's cleaned off. It's just crusty German steel, you know. Only the finest for these spec E30s. But yeah, that's a trick little piece. I recommend snagging one whenever you're like building a car, repainting it, because then you gotta tape off your grounds. You know, I mean, if you're using like real like paint and clearing over it, it's kind of a pain, but this thing usually makes pretty quick work of stuff. If you'll remember, this was our passenger side motor mount. You can see how the lip is all bent up there. This is a fresh one that we've acquired from another car. And basically, hey Hot, what's going on? What's going on, man? Tell the people what's up, huh? Tell them what's up. So, in an effort to prevent the motor mounts from bending, you know, just trying to keep everything as nice as possible, I took some 2-inch DOM and kind of like hand notched it to fit in here. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it gonna work? Yes. And maybe, just maybe, I can convince Matt at Garagistic to make this like a product that will be available to the general public. Because I think after seeing how beat up the subframe and motor mounts were on this car, this could be something viable for the spec E30 world. So I've got a little C-clamp, a socket, attempting to hold this flat because things do warp whenever you weld. I'm gonna try and get it tacked in as best as I can. You know, keep this socket cranked on there. I might even like torch it a little bit and then give this guy a couple more turns just to kind of like preheat this. It'll soften it. I can keep it pressed down a little better with my socket. I'll set this guy in place, give it like a tack. From there, we'll start hammering down. But I'm gonna do that to this one and the other side so that, you know, we've got some solid boys. Granted, our transmission was so grody, I couldn't exactly tell if the leaks were coming from the engine, the transmission, whatever. Decided to replace all the easy things to replace. The shift seal, wasn't willing to sacrifice a snap-on screwdriver to pull it out, so I fiddled with some different stuff. But it's hard to tell. You can see on this top area, looks like somebody absolutely used their teeth to gnaw out the seal last time. And I assume it's chewed up on the inside. I tried to look, but it folded it over, and this is how the other one looked. Sick. Whoever did that, thank you very much. You're making my life easier. The real move is gonna be to get a replacement piece here, or just honestly pop this off at some point in the future, whenever I have the time, and you know, deburr this in here, whatever's going on there. We got some stuff for the transmission: rear main, input shaft seal, shifter seal. I did the shifter seal the other night. I started to do the rear main, or the rear output shaft seal on this transmission. It's a Getrag 260, and I found out that you actually have to have a special tool. A thin wall, deep, 30mm socket. We didn't have one. Buying one on Amazon or something like that was going to take a few days, so it was faster for me to just get like a quick AutoZone pickup, and then I took it to my buddy Brett over at Nimmo Machine in Costa Mesa, and he hooked it up. So basically, typically a socket will have a bevel on the end of it, and so we faced the bevel off, and then we had to have a maximum outer diameter of 39mm for this socket, and that is so that this socket fits precisely in that little pocket right there. Yeah, we got that new FCP Victor Rhines rear output shaft seal going in.
What are you guys doing? Just dropping the mortar in?
Yeah, we're trying to. We're trying to drop this thing straight on the core support.